Hey guys, my name is CM Seth, and today I'll be breaking down how I made my latest song, Magic. This one is one of my favorite ones, so if you haven't heard it, then you probably should go check it out. It's on my channel, it's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, and yeah, let's just get into it. So probably the very first thing I should show you, disclaimer, there is gonna be raw vocals. So if you want to make fun of my raw vocals, yeah, I guess you've came to the right place. But let's start with the lead chorus, okay? As terrible as it might be, yeah, this is here we go. I said I'm gonna call. Yeah, I think you get it. It sounds flat. It sounds kind of muddy. It doesn't really sound like it belongs. And let's play it with the beat. I said I'm gonna call. Yeah. 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 Let me show you the mix. So as you can see, there's a lot of effects actually. I would be going through each of them. So the very first thing is a compressor. Now what a compressor does is it basically levels the vocal. It takes the peaks or the sound that's too high and it brings it down, and it brings the sound that's too low and it brings it, just a bit up, or however much up you want. It levels it. That is the first effect. This one is not really an effect. This is just how I got the key of the song for my autotune. The next one is a vocal doubler. And what a vocal doubler does in this case is basically I'm using it to make my vocals more large, if that makes sense. So instead of them being thin and weird and sounding, not the best, they sound a little bit thicker. They have a bit more bass to them. The next thing is a saturation. What a saturation does is it basically provides clarity and it boosts the higher frequencies of the vocal. And then we have an EQ. This is a dynamic EQ. This can honestly get really complicated. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking all the muddy parts of my vocal and I'm basically cutting them out, or I'm reducing them. And it just helps to clean up the vocal. This is another one. This is an EQ. So this is called a subtractive EQ. What a subtractive EQ does is basically you're cutting out almost all of the low end, and then you're taking the bad frequencies that sound weird or boxy, and you're basically bringing them down. And that's for each of the parts that sound bad. And then this little thing at the end, that's called additive EQ, I think is the name. And basically this is boosting the higher frequencies. So next we have the real one. This is my autotune settings. I think this plugin is deprecated now in favor of Autotune Pro or whatever. But for some reason, I tend to like Autotune Artist more. And yeah, it's just Autotune. So for this song, it is G sharp minor. And these are my settings. I wonder what the vocal sounds like. Let's play it. I said, I'm gonna call. Yeah, I'm gonna be the first one. Yeah. Alright, so as you can see, it sounds really flat. There's like no life to it, which is surprising to say. Like, there's nothing to it right now. It sounds dull. At least it's in key. It sounds like something. So next we have the graphic EQ. I'm gonna be so real with you. I think I was just messing around with this and I just came up with something that sounds good. Yeah, best artist in the world. Then we have a vocal compressor. This one is from Antares. Basically, same concept as the last compressor. We're basically boosting the low frequencies, and the high frequencies, we're bringing them down in order to make the vocal level. That actually thins the vocal sometimes. So we have a vocal doubler. Again, this is just providing more bass. Then we have one of my favorites, Valhalla Delay. This can get really strong. Oh, actually, I'm not using this at all. What? It's at 0% wet. So not that. That's actually interesting. Why am I not using this? Huh. All right. Well, then we have the vocal reverb. This is basically what you hear in songs that make it sound more roomy or make it sit better in the mix. This is basically like an echo effect, I guess. The reverb. It sounds really cool. It sounds like this. I said, I'm gonna call. Yeah, I'm gonna. All right. So now at this point, honestly, it's sounding really good, actually. It doesn't sound the best, but it sounds better than, this. I said, I'm gonna call. Yeah, there's a pretty night and day difference. And actually, I am stacking vocals. So basically, this is building upon this one, and it basically just amplifies it a bit, and it just makes it sound cooler. Like listen to this. Say I'm gonna call, yeah, I'm gonna be the first one. So yeah, very subtle difference, but it does matter in the mix. Then we have another delay. This is like an echo effect. Basically, it does this. I say I'm gonna call, yeah. And yeah, you can hear it sort of bounce just a little bit. There's not a lot in there. It's only at 7% wet. But it's the subtle things in music. Then we have our EQ. I'm doing the same thing as last time. Since we have a bunch of these effects, sometimes it can make the vocals sound a little boxy at times. So we're basically cutting out the low frequencies. We're taking all the boxy frequencies and we're just bringing them down. And no additive EQ this time. I probably did that as to not make it sound too thin. And then we have another vocal reverb. As you can tell, this song uses a lot of reverb. I love it. At this point, the vocals should sound like this. I say I'm gonna call, yeah, I'm gonna be the first. Already sounding like 100% better, like 10 times better. It's sounding way better. So we have two compressors here. I am assuming that what I'm doing is making it louder because it's kind of quiet. So I say I'm gonna call, yeah, I know exactly why I did that. Okay, so if we play this with the beat without these compressors, it sounds, you're gonna notice it. I say I'm gonna call, yeah. Basically, it sounds too sunken in. It's not clear enough. And then when we have these, look at this. I say I'm gonna call, yeah, I'm gonna be the. It sounds way better. You can hear the effects better. It cuts through the mix better. It doesn't sound like it's being like devoured by the beat, I guess. It sounds way better. And then we have an EQ, another one. This is another subtractive EQ. I'm taking all the tinny vocals or the boxy vocals. I'm bringing them down, or frequencies, I should say. We have another vocal doubler. This is making the vocal more thick. Then we have another compressor. This is probably to tame it a little bit because I think it was getting too loud. I say I'm gonna call, yeah. Yeah, just to tame it a bit. And then we have a saturation. This is providing clarity and also colors the vocal. We have another EQ. Yeah, doing the same thing. Subtractive EQ and then additive EQ. We're adding back some of the vocal. And then we have a lot of delays and another reverb. I can only imagine I did this to just make it sound cooler. Let's see. I say I'm gonna call, yeah, that sounds good. I'm gonna be the first one. Yeah, as you can tell, that sounds way better. We went from this. I say I'm gonna call, to this. I say I'm gonna call, yeah, I'm gonna be the first one. Yeah, it sounds a million times better. So yeah, that's just for the lead vocal. There's kind of a lot happening in this project. So that's the lead vocal. Now, there is a technique that I was using called panning. Now, what panning does, if we check this is the left ear. Basically, we're taking another vocal and we're moving it to the left ear. It doesn't have to be a crazy amount. Mine is at 84%, but basically it makes it sound not generic, if that makes sense. It makes it sound more full in the ears, and that's kind of what you want in music. It's all about the subtle things, I've noticed. When they stack up, they make a pretty big difference. So this is with the doubles. I say I'm gonna call, yeah, I'm gonna be the first one. Yeah, so yeah, that sounds really good now. If we only look at, I'm actually curious to hear this. If we only look at the doubles, I'm not expecting them to be super loud, so. So yeah, sounds interesting. You don't really notice it in the song. Actually, what effects do I have on here? So I have the harmony engine. Yeah, very subtle effect. You don't really hear it in the mix. It just makes it sound fuller. I said I'm gonna call, yeah, I'm gonna be the first one. Yeah, you don't notice much actually, which I'm surprised. And then we have another delay, and these borrow basically the same vocal chain. Okay, so somewhere in here, I'm pretty sure we're compressing these vocals down because they're not very loud, as you can probably hear. So yeah, those are the doubles. Pretty cool. Let's now get into a verse. So this is the verse. And yeah, I think you get it. Pretty sure these are essentially the same thing. Yeah, I'm not really seeing much differences. There's one more retune speed, so I guess there's more auto-tune on the verse. Yeah, these seem to essentially be the same thing. The only difference is that the verse doesn't have doubles. So yeah, that is the verse. The other interesting part that I can show is the bridge. This is the bridge right here. Eyes on the prize, don't deny, everything's gonna be fine. Stay and try, kill. Yeah, so pretty loud. This is the bridge. So the bridge is actually pretty interesting because I'm assuming, yes. So this is, I don't know what to call this effect. It's not exactly a telephone effect. It's it makes the vocal sound thinner, I guess. It makes it sound like this. Eyes on the prize, don't deny. Which is, yeah. And without it, it sounds like this. Eyes on the prize, don't deny, everything's. And yeah, that's with that on. So we have more delay on this. We have more saturation on this, so more color and more clarity. This actually complements the EQ really well just because of how it sounds. All right, so we have an exciter. I don't see the exciter used a lot. Maybe I'm just not looking in the right places, but it's a strange effect. It makes the vocal sound like this. Eyes on the prize, don't deny, everything's gonna be fine. So yeah, subtle change. It's not doing that much. We have more reverb. This one's interesting because the delay is actually cranked up for this. And then we have another actual delay, just giving the vocal more echo and stuff. So yeah, pretty interesting project. It's not actually too complex. Mostly it just comes down to having a good vocal chain. I prefer Reaper simply because it has the best workflow. For some reason, I don't like how FL Studio and like Ableton and Pro Tools work. I find the interface to be really confusing. And it's like, I just want to add an audio track. I don't want to have to go through so many settings. Like looking at in Reaper, I can just right click, insert new track. Boom. I can record on it and everything. Yeah, I just prefer how it works. And that's pretty much it. There is a mastering that's done. If we look on the beat, this is what it sounds like without the master. It sounds fine. It sounds like a beat. And then we have with the master. It's just a bit louder and a bit more clear. You'll notice that fresh air for some reason is not there. And that's because the website to download it is kind of down, at least when I checked. It might not be, but basically all it does is it just adds clarity to the vocal. It actually makes it sound really crispy. I like that. And if we check the master track, same thing. So if we look at the waveforms, notice how nothing is clipping. That's basically what we're trying to eliminate, because without it, let me show you right here. Without it, I think we get a bit of clipping. So right there, right there. So yeah, nothing too crazy. We're just making sure that it's level, and that actually makes it sound really good on speakers. So yeah, that is how I made Magic. It's not a very complex project, but it is a cool one simply because I just love how the song turned out. So yeah, if you want to support me, go listen to it. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, it's on my SoundCloud. If anyone even listens to SoundCloud nowadays. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. And I just wanted to show you guys how I make music. Thank you for watching again, and yeah.